Hey everyone, this is Bishop Bowser here. As you can see, I have a shirt on with Frederick Douglass when he was saying that he could see no reason before a deceitful one to call the Christianity of this land, call the religion of this land Christianity. And I put the shirt on today because I want to talk about Christianity because today that's trending and people are talking about that, and that's one of my favorite topics. But I put a post earlier today that said I am a Christian, right? But technically speaking, I don't like using the term Christian. I'd rather be preferred. This is what I teach, that we are disciples of the Messiah. But I just did that to draw people into the conversation of what I have to say. And most people understand from being a follower of Christ or the Messiah, they look at that as Christians. But you know, the term Christian is a derogatory term. It's not something that the disciples gave themselves, but it's something that the world gave them. And you know, make a long story short, you got to go look at the history of it. But I don't want to say it's an exact equivalent, but for you to understand how derogatory it was, it's like a white person calling me the N word, and that's what it was with Christian. But having said that, you know, Frederick Douglass during his time, there was a lot of Christians that held slaves. They were slave masters, right? And there's a lot of folks even didn't have slaves, but they supported and promoted systemic racism, right? White supremacy. And so that's why one of the reasons why he said this, you know, the religion of this land is most deceitful when you see how they were treating blacks back then. But also what people need to understand is also during that time, it was Christian groups, quote unquote, so-called Christian groups that were leading the cause for abolition, right? And, you know, go look up people like Charles Finney, who was a white preacher who used his church as a platform to preach against slavery. And there was religious groups during that time that actually, if you were a minister and you held a slave, you would lose your license, get kicked out of the organization. So you know, the point I'm trying to make here is that on both sides, you know, you have some negatives and some positives when it comes to Christians, just like with any religion or any group of people, right? And so today, you know, we see trending Amy Coney Barrett, if I'm saying her name right, that has been nominated to be on the Supreme Court. And a lot of people are trying to attack her in regards to the religious faith that she was a part of, which was charismatic, I guess, come out of offshoot of Catholicism, but more charismatic. And but you know, the thing of it is that you know, all of us believe something, right? But it seems like when it comes to Christianity, people find a way to attack that, and I think that that's, you know, really shooting below the belt. You know, when you attack a person for what they believe, what their religious beliefs are, and yes, that do drive a person and guide them in their values and the decisions that they make, right? But also we have to be fair, and so I don't know too much about her, and I, you know, and so I was just speaking from the perspective of trying to use that against her to keep her from getting on the seat. If that's the only thing you want to use, then you know she most definitely going to get on there, because you have others that are Catholics and other people of faith on there. But it's amazing how people will try to do that, right? And then on the other end, they're attacking because there's a Christian group, so-called Christian group, I guess, that I think his name Rittenhouse, of the guy that shot the folks over in Kenosha, or if I'm saying the name right. That shot and killed some people there, and now he's on trial. But people raised over $500,000, supposed to be a Christian group and so on. And some of the things that they said when I read the story, I most definitely don't agree with. But you gotta understand, you have your extremes on every side, and folks shouldn't be judged for that. And so that's why I put that today. I am a Christian, you know, just to spark interesting conversation from the perspective of that you can't judge a person based on what they say they believe, but you have to judge them, as Martin Luther King said, the content of the character, the things that they do, right? And that tend to be thrown out of the window, right? If you stick with the Word of God and believe what the Bible says, you know, people will ridicule you for that. But that's the way the devil and Satan has set the system up, right? To believe that way and to go that way. And that's why black people are messed up, because they're following the ways of the liberals, and a lot of them are anti-Christ. And that's the problem that we have. So a lot of black people today are anti-Christ and caught up in the socialism and things like that. Now don't get me wrong, I don't have per se a specific thing against socialism, because when France went the socialist way, they ended slavery. So I see that as a good thing, right? Of living by those principles, but at the same time, it's always a game of give or take, right? And that's why I'm not Republican or conservative or Democrat or liberal, because on those platforms you have to adopt their platforms, and I don't buy into any of their platforms. I'm most definitely pro-life, but I'm also about racial justice, right? I'm against capital punishment. I'm against war, and so I don't see any platform that I personally fit into, as far as that I can stand there and say, yeah, I stand with this group. So I don't want to stand with any group and then they end up doing something crazy the next moment. And so when we talk about being Christians, we're really disciples of the Messiah. That's what Yahshua Jesus said. He said, if you continue my word, then you are my disciples, right? And that's what he called them, their disciples. And so we're disciples, we're his pupils, we're his followers, we're constantly growing and learning to become more like him. And that's what it's all about. But today in this land, the religion of this land is supposed to be Christianity, but it's bogus, it's fake, it's hypocritical, and it's on all ends, right? It's not just on the right, but it's on the left also. You see a lot of hypocrisy going on, and people don't call it out. And so Jesus Christ, he called out these systems. He stood up against these institutions, right? Whether it was racism, he stood up against it. When it was whether it's abuse in the religious system, he stood up against it. And so we got to do the same thing today. And so don't put us all in one basket, but you got to get to know us, right, and have a relationship with us. The other thing that I want to say is to those that think that you want to win us over and convert us over to whatever you believe, you got to first build a relationship with us and respect us for what we believe. If you don't do that, you're not going to even get inside the house, okay? All right, God bless you, and just want to share that with you about that. So I am a Christian, and so people can understand, based on the terminology, but technically speaking, I'm not a Christian. I'm a follower of the Messiah. All right, God bless you.